I mean, when you're trying to play in the next 3, 4, 6, 7.
I want to win, and I want to win here in Edmonton. That's my focus.
Down 2 goals, clock bleeding out. Edmonton needed a miracle. The puck swung around the zone, found McDavid alone on the right wing, and he buried it. 5-4, 11 minutes left. The Oilers were alive. That was it. That was as close as they'd get. Anaheim answered, then answered again. Final score 7-4. Series lead 2-1 to the Ducks. And from there, it only got worse. Edmonton managed to drag it out, but Anaheim closed the door on home ice, and just like that, another season was over for Connor McDavid. 11 years in the NHL. No Stanley Cup. Not even close this time. And here's what makes it sting even more. McDavid isn't some aging star running out of chances on a bad team. He just led the entire league in points with 138. He's 29 years old, right in the middle of his prime, and by almost every measure, he's the best player on the planet. But the Oilers sent him home in the first round. Again, McDavid didn't sugarcoat it after. He said, "We were an average team all year. An average team with high expectations, you're going to be disappointed. We just never found it." And that's the brutal truth about this Edmonton season. They had the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, but a 56.7 winning percentage, the lowest they've posted since 2018 to 2019. The regular season was a grind from start to finish. Injuries piled up. Goaltending was a mess. They even traded away Stuart Skinner, a guy who was in net for back-to-back Stanley Cup final runs, and the replacements never stabilized things. Not one goaltender on this roster finished with a save percentage above .900. Not one. When the playoffs came, the problems didn't disappear. They got louder. The injury list followed them into the postseason, and McDavid put it simply, too hurt, too soon. But he also made it clear that's not an excuse. He expected more. Everyone did. What's really interesting is what Leon Draisaitl said after the elimination. Not soft, diplomatic post-game quotes. Real frustration. He said, "In what world do you have the best player in the world on your team, and you're not looking to win?" That's a man who's tired. A man who's been standing next to McDavid for a decade, watching rings go to other teams, and he's had enough of almost. So, how did we get here? Because this wasn't supposed to be a rebuilding year. This was supposed to be a window open, everything on the table, win now season. McDavid signed a 2-year, $25 million extension last October, way below market value. He left money on the table so Edmonton could build something real around him. He chose loyalty over a bigger payday because he wanted to win, and he wanted to do it there. That kind of decision deserves to be met with results. Instead, the Oilers regressed. They gave up the 8th most goals in the league. They ranked near the bottom in takeaways. The defense was leaky, the goaltending was shaky, and Anaheim, younger, faster, hungrier, just outran them. Draisaitl summed it up perfectly. They were just better than us. No excuses, no spin. Just the truth. Now think about the weight of that. McDavid has a Hart Trophy 3 times over. He's a multiple-time scoring champion. He's won at the Olympic level, at the World Cup level. His highlights look like things that shouldn't be physically possible on ice. People call him McJesus, and he's earned every syllable of that nickname. But the one thing that would make his legacy complete, the one thing that separates good from immortal, is the Stanley Cup, and it keeps slipping away. The Oilers came so close in back-to-back seasons. 2 straight Stanley Cup finals. 2 heartbreaking losses to the Florida Panthers. They climbed to the very edge of the mountain and got pushed back twice. Then, this year, they didn't even make it to the mountain. They fell in the valley, first round, taken out by a Ducks team that was supposed to be beatable. Something has to change, and the conversation starts in goal. For years, Edmonton has been rotating through goaltenders, hoping something sticks. This season, Skinner was out, Tristan Jarry was in, and it didn't work. Calvin Pickard and Connor Ingram are both heading toward free agency. The Oilers need to make a real move here. Not another stopgap, not another experiment. A legitimate number 1. One name worth watching is Sergei Bobrovsky. Oilers fans know exactly what he can do. They watched him shut them down twice in the Cup Finals. He's an unrestricted free agent. If he doesn't re-sign with Florida, there's a case to be made that Edmonton is actually a good fit, even at 37. Another option is Philip Gustafsson from Minnesota. He had a solid regular season, good numbers, but rookie Jesper Wallstedt is pushing him hard for the starting job. If that pressure continues, Gustafsson may be looking for a fresh start. And then there's Jordan Binnington, Canadian, motivated, familiar with pressure hockey. This past season was statistically the worst of his career, but the Blues seem ready to move forward with Joel Hofer as their future. Binnington might be available at a reasonable price, and a change of scenery with a Cup contender could be exactly what he needs. On defense, the conversation that needs to happen is about Darnell Nurse. He was once a cornerstone for this team. Now, he's an anchor, the wrong kind. He's underperformed, and he's carrying a $9.5 million cap hit that's restricting everything else Edmonton wants to do. Moving that contract isn't easy, but it opens a door. It creates space. It allows the Oilers to go get someone who can actually improve this blue line. Because here's the reality, the window is open, but it's not wide open anymore. McDavid and Draisaitl have played together for a decade. They've made each other better. They've built something remarkable together in Edmonton. But time is a factor now in a way it wasn't a few years ago. McDavid's contract runs 2 more years. After that, nothing is locked in. Nothing is guaranteed. He said himself, when he signed the extension, that 2 years made sense, that it gave him a chance to keep chasing. He meant it, but if those 2 years produce another first-round exit, or worse, that conversation about his future gets much harder to have. Edmonton hasn't won the Stanley Cup since 1990, and no Canadian franchise has lifted the cup since 1993. That's 33 years of waiting for a country that essentially invented the sport. For McDavid, he's the best shot any Canadian city has had in a long time. But being the best shot isn't the same as being the champion. The talent is there. The hunger is there. The years are ticking. The question that follows McDavid everywhere now, can he finish the climb in Edmonton, or does he eventually have to look elsewhere to get what he's chasing? Nobody wants to ask it, but everyone is thinking it.